I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is They Got All Angles Covered. They got all angles covered. Dealing with the international banking families that control the economy, the policy making, the pretty much everything that has to do with anything in the world, whether it's controlled opposition or whatever the case may be. And I believe Linda Thompson, which did a documentary years ago on the concentration camps, the detention centers and all that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, or it could have been another documentary that brought out a term called Operation Ring of Fire, if I'm not mistaken. And I tried to look some information up on that, and nothing came up. Like nothing. Like it's just like that never even existed. But from what I can remember, unless I got the wrong name, Operation Ring of Fire were different events that would take place around the world, so that they could pretty much have all angles covered, so to speak. So that's why the name of the lesson is They Have All Angles Covered, or something along those lines. I believe that's what I wrote down or typed in. And this is why you see what's going on around the world today. You see, shortages. You see inflation, deflation, hyperinflation of different currencies around the world. The one that we are mainly concerned with the most is the so-called American dollar, which is the world reserve currency. And it's losing value day by day, but people don't understand the way the dollar works. And that's why they can't. They're looking at prices as going up, things are getting more expensive, but they're not understanding that the reason why it's getting more expensive is because the dollar is being devalued more and more. And that's the main thing. And this is causing a ripple effect around the world. You have these different wars and rumors of wars around the world. You have earthquakes and volcano eruptions and, wildlife dying off, sea life dying off, the deforestation of, certain places around the world. And there's many different things that are taking place, which is causing a synergy to happen around the world, because this is what the so-called international banking families are planning for: a worldwide takeover to implement their so-called New World Order, or their agenda. And this is why when we read scriptures like in the book of Revelation, the 3rd chapter, they're pretty much manipulating everything on the left-hand side, which the Heavenly Father gave them that power anyway. But they're manipulating everything on the left-hand side, and it's causing a ripple effect. Like when you throw that pebble in the pond, there's nothing there, but when the pebble hits the water, it starts to ripple out. And that's what's happening. They one little thing causes another thing to happen, causes another thing to happen, causes another thing to happen. Because ultimately what they're doing is they're breaking down the machinery of the world. The way everything was already set up and established. The production, the shipping, the finance, the militaries, the governments that are established around the world. They're causing these different frictions to happen to merge everything into one, because it's a new world order, or one world order, one world government. All right. So this is Revelation chapter 3 verse 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. And the ultimate hour of temptation is the you know the M to the A to the R to the K, of the beast. And that's the ultimate goal. But there are other things that are going to be taking place to lead up to that, because that's the ultimate goal. This is why, as we always bring out the interview that Aaron Russo had with Nick Rockefeller, where he asked Nick Rockefeller what was the end goal, and he said to have everybody chipped, have all information on those chips, so on and so forth. And this is the plans for world domination, because they want subjects. They don't want thinking individuals. They want subjects. They want good old little slaves. And they know by inserting that technology into individuals that it was quiet around here before I started filming, and all of a sudden all kind of, anyways, they know by inserting that into an individual, human, will make them a perpetual slave. They understand the concept of the Bible. They understand the concept of the all in the ear. They understand the concept of the quiet, which are things that are imprinted or put into a certain person to make them a slave for life. And that's why they're pushing this so hard. So it goes on to say, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So this is, the word world there is oikoumene, which means the whole entire globe, the whole inhabited earth, all of the people on the earth. Now, they're going to get a good portion, a good percentage of people to take this, through deception, but there'll come a point where they have to make it mandatory, because there's going to be resistance. For the most part, a lot of people are going to be deceived into taking it, but there'll come a point where they have to make it mandatory, because remember, they want everybody chipped. They want everybody on the planet to be obedient, and this is why they're culling the herd. They're cutting it down, because at the end of the day, they want to be able to have a sizable, manageable population, because right now, currently, is almost 8 billion people, or there are almost 8 billion people, and that's impossible to be able to control all of those. That's where you have the 10 demonic commandments of the international banking families, prescribed, so to speak, by R.C. Christian, which is a fictitious name, and they're known as the Georgia Guidestones. And the very first one is maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. So if that's the case, that means that they got to drop 7.5 billion people, take them out, in order to have a more manageable size. Now, the ones that would more than likely be better candidates would be a younger people, that don't know about, prior to the so-called internet, that are all caught up in the technology of today, because the scriptures tell us in the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, in the 4th verse, it says, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. That's right. So knowledge is being increased. And how is it being increased? Through the technology of this internet. So you have this generation, this younger generation, all they know is technology. All they know is the internet, the cell phone. People are glued to their cell phone. So much that they're bumping into shit, getting hit by cars, because they can't detach from this technology. Now, I'll give you an example. I went to this one place to get a smoothie. This was the other day. No, I'm sorry. I went to this other place to get some food that I bought, and the bill came out to $15 13, I believe it was. So I gave the young chick, I gave her a $20 bill and 25 cents. And she was just struggling for, seemed like forever, trying to figure out how much money she owed me. You know, and I was talking to Elder Manatazak, you know, and then when I realized it, I said, she gave me $14 back, and so I said, no, I said I gave you $20 and 25 cents. The bill was $15.13. You got to give me back $5.12. You know? She said, oh, okay. But she was completely lost because they're used to whatever comes up. So it's like their mechanism of the brain does not compute unless there's an app, unless it's printed right in front of them. And I looked at that, I said, these are the type of people that these devils want. People that cannot think outside of what's put in front of them. You know? There was another incident years ago where, you know, you have those toilets that flush on their own, and I guess the guy was trying to flush the toilet, but he didn't see no lever on it, and I guess there wasn't an app for it, so he walked away frustrated. And there was a button on the side, you push the button and boom, it just you know? So that lets me know that these people, this younger generation, cannot think without the computer or the cell phone telling them what to do. You have people that can't find their way, you know, from one place to another without having the GPS on. You know, so these are the people that the international banking families want, because like the scriptures say, knowledge shall be increased. Everything is online now, and when everything is online, everything is calculated by digits. You know, by there's a word for it, by for lack of better words, by punching in a couple of letters or words, everything will be inside of the computer. You see, and that's what they want. They want everything there. That way it's easier for them to turn it off or turn it on. Because if you have gold, if you have FRNs, you know, you have coins and all of that, they can't corner you like they could corner you if you had everything digital. That's why now I believe, if I'm not mistaken, where is it, England? They're doing the basic income thing, where they chose a certain amount of people that are going to get a certain amount of, I believe it was euros or something like that. I forget what it was exactly, for a certain period of time, just to see how they function. But what that's doing is leading everything to the internet, leading everything to be digital. Because that's the wave of the future. That is the technology that the Heavenly Father gave them, and they found a way to be able to control the masses that way, because obviously they can't control them the other way. Because you can't really track cash. You know, like when you go buy stuff, you know, in these different stores, they really can't track that cash and what you're really buying with it. You know, I'm saying the individual themselves that's buying this stuff. But if everything has a digital footprint, then they can trace everything back to so and so and such and such. And then that gives them the power to be able to turn off or turn on, depending on if the individual is compliant with the government. Like that one dude in China, you know, they shut him down. He can't do nothing. He can't work. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't travel. So pretty much they kicked him off of the grid for not complying. And this is what they're doing. They're trying to push people in the corner to take this MOB so that they can track him and control them. It's all about total control. And that's why we read in Revelation 3, it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. This is dealing with the prophets, the men of the Lord, the teachers. It says, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, because the hour of temptation is what? Which shall come upon all the world, meaning in an oikoumenic sense, to try them that dwell upon earth. And this is why you have so much turmoil and so many situations happening financially, you know, disruption of goods, Like people are saying it costs a whole lot more to build homes now than it did before. No, it's the dollar. It's the dollar that's being devalued, and it's a supply chain that's being broken down, whereby giving these different businesses the ability to hike the prices up because of supply and demand. And obviously, if there's not enough stuff coming in, and people want that stuff, they're gonna hike it up to the moon, like they did with fucking alcohol and peroxide. You know, so if you want this, you're gonna have to pay 5 times more than what you were already paying, because there's a shortage, which was done on purpose. So every little thing you see, it's all these international bankers pretty much cornering everything, you know, and that's what they're doing. It's like a ring of fire. It's everything is breaking down, and it's breaking down that way because when they bring the solution in, the solution would be to the benefit of the bankers, but it will not be beneficial to the average person out there, you know. So I wish I could have found some information on that, could have brought it out, you know, on the ring of fire. I mean, unless, like I said, unless I have the wrong terminology, but I believe that's what it was, you know. So, you know, that's what all I wanted to say. I really didn't have anything prepared, and didn't really have any precepts, you know, just whatever few precepts came, and I'm gonna leave it at that, you know. But it's just something to consider, how everything is systematically breaking down because they're trying to move out the old, you know, machine to bring in the new machine. That's why everything now is AI, you know, artificial intelligence, merging man with machine, because that's what they want at the end. So with that, you know, I pray that your brothers have been edified. To the next time, I say shalom.